Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mom Series, The Misunderstanding of Multiplicity. My name is Maria. The reason my channel is named the Mom Series is because on being diagnosed with D.I.D. when it was called MPD in 1986, the greatest loss, the greatest stigma, the greatest fear of this diagnosis was that I lost the ability to be a mom. Okay, even though no judge came in, no court said you must give over your children, my children were not happy with living a life of uh, knowing that their mom was with more than one, that mom was sick, that mom had more personalities. My children were in counseling with me. They went to a child psychologist. I went to a psychologist. I went to a psychologist. That ended up being a hospital stay and home. And then I ended up with a lot of physical problems that really did bring on the disorder of what they were calling MPD in the day. So I was evaluated on a hospital floor. I did have a doctor for 30 years. I had a psychiatrist. I had a psychotherapist, and I had a support group. And I did go to school to become a social worker, and I worked in the field of social work, and I was a good mother. Okay, so that said, we all fall down and have times that we're not as good as we can be. And that is what happened. I got sick, and it brought me back to a place that was very emotional and hard. Um, just being in pain, being drugged, being sedated, and having to stay in bed and being trapped in bed and not being able to get my body to do what it needed to do, recovering from meningitis 3 times with damage and recovering from a hysterectomy that was I was very young when it was done. It was needful. Um, I was hemorrhaging, and I continued to hemorrhage internally. Um, I don't think my doctor was planning on running into a malrotated intestine, which is what I had, and so it caused problems. And um, I had to stay home in bed, or my doctor was going to put me in the hospital. I didn't want to be away from my children, so my doctor went ahead and ordered a nurse for me during the day and homemaker for my children to get them ready for school and um, off the bus from school and ready for bed. And then I had people from church that also stepped up and helped me. I didn't have any family at that time that could help. If I was in the hospital, the kids could go be with my brother, my sister-in-law, um, my stepmother, my father, whatever, but they couldn't. At that time in my life, my dad and my stepmom had moved. My brother and um, his wife at the time were just starting their family and getting ready to move too. So um, I had no help but nurses and friends from church and school, people and colleagues that I worked with, yeah, for after surgery. So um, I lost the greatest gift and role and position that God ever gave me, was to mother my children. Um, by my cousins stepping in and saying, "We can help you." And um, even though we stayed as a blended family for holidays and everything, they were still 8 and 10 years old when they went to stay with my cousins. And so, 10 of the years I was a mother, and each 10 of the years they were the parents. And um, I was, uh, I was stigmatized, and I still am. And so my channel reminds me that um, I was a mother, that I still am a mother, and that I am a mom. And that's why it's named that. Now, I know there's a lot of discussion, little controversy about using the term multiple personality or dissociative identity disorder. Um, I know the proper terminology. I promise you this. I promise I know all the terms. I'm very up to date on this. I I spent all my time studying this. I came out here in 2007 when there were 3 people out here just making representation videos, like cartoons, images of their system group, describing sometimes even just feelings like with DDNOS, which it was called then, dissociative disorders, um, not otherwise specified. Um, that name has been changed to OSDD. So other specified dissociative disorders. And I've been saying from the start, nothing changes but the name. And a little bit of the criteria sometimes gets blipped over into an overlapping criteria, or some of the features of the criteria are taken out. But really, the only thing that has ever changed with the DSM, with the in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of the American Psychological Association of Mental Health Disorders, is everyone agreeing on when it's a valid disorder. And even then, if it makes it into the DSM, especially with multiple personality or D.I.D, there are camps of non-believers that really dig their healing. They don't believe in it at all. And then there are believers, and they have facilities, and they specialize, and they dig their heels in. We don't have enough empirical evidence to prove that any of it is scientific yet, though we can prove that there is a lot that happens with dissociation. Um, Having said all that, the reason I came out here in 2009 and put face to monitor and started blogging every day was to follow media depictions, all media depictions, starting with United States of Terror, which was coming out at the time, and reviewing the show. And then books. So Sybil Exposed, Michelle Remembers, Fractured Minds, Robert Oxnam, uh, every book there was, I think I reviewed. Every TV show, including soap operas, Vicky, Nikki, Tess, Jess, One Life to Live, Lifetime movies, true movies, docudramas, everything that came out. And then my channel also has a lot of videos on the history of multiple personality, going all the way back to Dr. Jean-Martin Chicot at the Salpêtrière Hospital in Paris, Dr. Morton Prince, Dr. Cornelia Wilbur, Freud, what everybody thought about this, how the name changed from demon possession to hysteria to neurotic to back to hysteria to multiple personality to dissociation to multiple personality disorder to D.I.D. So nothing changes but the name. But what continues to stay the same, no matter what, is the sensationalizing of it in the media, the stigma, the fear, the movies and films that ramp up the killer alters, the villains, the demon possessed, the protectors and gatekeepers and angry alters that are gonna kill people and do bad things, and the promiscuous ones that are gonna be just all over, a little too loose and sloppy, right? And the roles and the stigma, that stays the same. And then there are always gonna be fakers, people that just role play on the internet. And I've made videos about this. It doesn't do any good to call people out as faker, because it's just going to bring hate to your channel. What I will say is, what it does when people come out into communities and talk about how awful they're suffering and how their alters are persecuting them, harming them, blame when they've done something, blame it on another alter, is that it gives people that are real criminals the ability to go into a courtroom and say, I didn't do it. My alter did it. So here we go again. Ted Bundy said he had multiple personality. Well, his defense team said it, right? Billy Milligan said he had multiple personality. Arthur Shawcross, right here from Rochester, New York. He tried to say he had it. Riverside Killer tried to say he had it. I could go on and on and on. They all claim they had. I think they tried with Jodi Arias to go down that road, that she had dissociative. I think they tried with Casey Anthony to say, oh, well, she was molested, she was traumatized, she disassociated, she was in a few. Everyone tries it. Okay, so who is the newest person on the list to say, I didn't do it, my alter did it? Nikolas Cruz, the Parkland Shooter. Now, it's important to remember that Nikolas Cruz walked into his high school and murdered 17 people, cold-blooded, murdered them, injured hundreds more. And in October of 2018, he claimed he was guilty. Now, when the state is seeking the death penalty, which they are, for murder, and when anybody is charged with it, they're allowed to get a mental health evaluation within 48 hours. One mental health evaluation, okay? Nikolas Cruz had that evaluation, and during that exam, when asked about the shooting, he said and he actually wrote it in small letters, hatred, quote unquote, did it. So he was filled with hate. He said, hatred did it. I find that interesting. His defense team says because of his memory deficits, motor coordination, cognitive skills, neuropsychiatric history, linguistics, and a past that could produce disassociation, that dissociating, that they believe he has alters, and hatred is the name of the alter that did this. So here's the thing. He's claiming multiple personality for an insanity plea. Hatred is the alter that did this, but did he actually say this? Or is his defense team saying this? Or is the psychiatrist who saw him saying this? We don't know. But what the defense team has said is they don't want just one expert, which is what the law says they can have, one expert. They have lined up already linguistics, cultural diversity, neurodiversity, speech, memory, motor coordination, brain trauma, and dissociative doctors of D.I.D. That's a lot of experts to be able to line up and say to the judge, we'll bring them in. We believe we've got a slam dunk case of he has a rich history of background that would produce an alter named hatred. Went in there and killed all these people, all these kids, teachers, wounded so many more. The judge, well, the prosecution is saying, whoa, wait a minute. You only get one expert. If they're going to bring in all these experts, we want to even the playing field, and we need to have time to get our experts together, and we're going to bring in more than one too. Well, the judge hasn't decided yet, so the judge will be making that decision, and jury selection will begin in October. But I think it's important to remember he claimed guilty. He just said, I'm guilty. When further questioned, hatred did it. Now, I just think it's a far reach, but this is the problem with TikTok D.I.D communities, and I'm not hating on TikTok D.I.Ders, but there are Tumblr, TikTok, there's so many that are filled with people that young people that are looking to fit in, that don't have a community, that do grasp onto this stuff and are also watching TV and seeing this in the media. That's why I came out here to say these are bogus diagnoses. Just test best in one life to live, locking down each other, trying to kill each other all the time, Todd, all that. Movie of the week. All of these things sensationalize. Even when you finally get a true story, they want to see the dog and pony show. They want to see you splitting, switching, going between alters and not having any memory. They want to see the fantastical of it. They want to be entertained. And if you do that, they say, "Oh, you're making it up." And if you don't do it, they say, "Oh, you're faking." So you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. And that is the stigma of this, is that any sorry soul with evil intent in their heart, who is filled with hatred, can walk into a school, kill people, and then sit there in an orange suit and mask on and say, kind of look at his defense team like, they're trying to save my life. So that's why I'm going to continue to come out here and show y'all that I have a very mundane, ordinary, normal life. There was a time it was more chaotic, and um, and D.I.D, multiple personality, what it was called then, really disrupted my life, every second of my life, and I barely ever slept. I just stayed awake, keeping track of myself, which is why eventually my body just wore out. And my cousins, just had to take primary care of my kids because I was no longer able to. I was just flat in bed, sick. So, what I want to say is I didn't have that. I saw Gaz's interview, Multiplicity and Me, the other day on your channel, talking about how you met Jess and their group and everything, and in high school, and I've been on this journey together. I didn't have that luxury of anybody understanding. It was just, this is bad. She could get up in the middle of the night and leave. She could go to another town. She could be driving and not know where she's going. She could do something horrible and not remember it. Like I said it in previous videos, I was terrified of myself and keeping track of myself every second and hypervigilant of me and my surroundings and everything. I'm writing everything down. I'm going to a lot of therapy and trying to integrate really fast, but it just doesn't happen like Dr. Cornelia Wilbur would have us believe, where she's fuse with her magic wand and like Sybil Dorset, aka Sybil Dorset, the late Shirley R. Del Mason did, right? So, I really have a difficult time comprehending how we can get around other than becoming the news, becoming the media, which is what many have said in the community, is we must become the media that we want people to know. So if there are still players out here, and I'm not going to name names, that are accentuating the worst of it, or what they saw or fantasized in TV land, or on a video game or whatever, there's no room for that now. People are claiming they're killing people, and they're claiming they're multiple as a defense. It's not okay. All right, so So Nikolas Cruz is claiming, but I don't really know how much he's claiming it or how much he just said hatred did it. And because he referred to himself as another, they're looking for D.I.D. So I'm just going to keep coming out here and showing y'all how very mundane and normal and ordinary my life really is, other than when I get a wasp in the house, or a few, from a nest that's still on the wall, or my neighbors are smoking shit that really stinks and it makes me a little crazy because I get agitated from it. I don't get chill because, when you know you're going to smoke something, and I don't smoke it, but if you know you're going to take a drug, you know you're drugging yourself. But if you're walking around and suddenly you're falling over, you start panicking, and that brings on a lot of problems for me. So, I mean, those are the only things that make it unordinary in my life. That's it. That's it. Other than trying to walk without my right leg hurting still, or not be crooked in the spine, or malrotated in my intestine, um or have a bad thyroid day, try to lose weight. I mean, it's just the norm, right? Of the everyday, of just the challenges that everyone has every day. With more rhetoric in my head, more. I like to say it's like adding on. It's like there's more solutions here. There's more commentary going on, and there's more um, actual action sometimes happening to try to fix things and navigate life. Other than that, this is the thing I hate about D.I.D. This is the thing I hate about and my daughter said to me the other day, "You are so way past that, Mom," and I'm just glad to have my mom back. And I was sad because I thought, yeah, I'm way past it, but not really, because nobody ever forgets. Everybody's always scared, and you never all got to know me, all of me. You just all ran away from me and said, go to therapy and, you know, integrate. And so they never really got to know uh, the beauty of all the different aspects of me. Um, so they never really knew their mother, is what I feel. And I could be wrong about that, but I feel strongly that way. And but we have another few years ahead of us, I hope, to get to know each other again. Or I thought we did. And we're miles apart. But we work on it. Yeah, it really sucks to go to 30 years of therapy to get your family back together and have it torn apart. So I'm just going to be honest right here, and you know who I'm talking to. I think it sucks for us to be all torn apart because of one person. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, didn't we almost have it all? What was it all for? What was all that for? Okay, anyways. Nikolas Cruz is claiming multiple personality. I don't believe him. I don't even think he's claiming it. I think his defense is. So, yeah, that's it. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.